It's a mixture of current affairs, hard news, and slightly more lighter stuff. Also, I do and still teach in fitness occasionally, mainly Pilates. I deliver workshops and do guest seminars, and I do lectures and things with something called Core Philosophy, which was a series of lectures I developed back in the mid-1990s. And the other thing I still do and I'm passionate about, although not a lot of it at the moment, but I will return to it one day, is work one-on-one as a psychotherapist with clients.
So quite a variety.
Absolutely.
Quite a variety.
But I think if you've got... I look out into the world sometimes and I see some people who are a little bit lost because they haven't found a little gem, a little something that lights them up and makes them think, oh, I really want to pursue that. And I think for some people it's easier said than done, because some people are passionate about certain things and they probably may never get the chance for whatever reason. So I count myself as very lucky for having had a lot of the opportunities that I've had. But one thing and it's very evident in my broadcast work, is that I'm nosy, I'm curious, I can talk, but I also love listening to others. And I love listening to others' stories, insights, and maybe even personal journeys, hence why I trained as a psychotherapist and didn't do pure journalism, which is what I'm doing more of these days. And I'm very blessed to do it. I love doing it, and I'll hopefully be doing it for as long as I can see a way forwards.
Staying with current day topics, present day topics, we obviously had the second series of Gladiators, the new revamped version. Better than the first show or not?
In terms, the two things, yes, I felt our newbies, the new Gladiators were, in terms of athletic merit and basal conditioning for them to perform in the many disciplines that Gladiator demands of the contenders and the gladiators, I thought they were a better rendition of as original guys, because a lot of the guys were selected from a bodybuilding background, which isn't necessarily an athletic background. And I think a lot of the boys in the original team had to amend their training and become more kind of athletic rather than sort of doing singular body parts in their training, and become more of a complete unit in terms of athletic performance. Some of the girls on the original shows, myself and Kim, who played Lightning, had been gymnasts, so it was a very easy transition. Now, the newbies on Sky's version of Gladiators, all of them were taken from a broad athletic background field, so they brought a lot in terms of physical prowess and attribute to the show. They looked fabulous. The production value I thought was fantastic. I thought it was a streak of genius to put the elements into it. You know, there was fire and there was water, and I think the water was more there so when people fell great heights, which we often did, and unlike my situation when I had my accident, people could fall a great height and not hurt their joints or get injured so easily. But it was a streak of genius because actually it complemented the look of the show. The only thing that wasn't going against it was shot, unlike the original Gladiators, in a tiny shooting lot with about an audience potential of about 4 or 5 deep in the it's actually sitting around and watching it being shot live, whereas in the original Gladiator arena of the NIA in Birmingham, we could have anything up to a good 1,000 more in the arena, particularly once the series had established itself, watching live every single show being shot. So something about the new show, the Sky version of Gladiators, it lost some of its energy simply because of the restrictions on how it could be physically shot. It was at Shepperton. I went there a lot because I was backstage shooting the website, and we had a great time interviewing the newbies, interviewing the contenders, and making the website for the new Gladiator show a nice integration of old and new.
So the viewing figures for the new show were significantly lower than the original show.
Yes.
So would you suggest, for those reasons you've just given, that was the case?
Yes. I mean, Sky's reach is averaging 1,500 to 2 million. And I think simply because of that restriction, that, would limit it. If you haven't got Sky, you don't watch Sky, you're not going to watch the new Gladiators. But mind you, with more and more people going into sort of channel TV. It could have. I think it could have been given another season or two to really, get it re-established. But unfortunately, they stopped the production. The model is still out there. Anyone can go along and go, right, I'm going to buy Gladiators off you, Sky. So if anyone's listening and you've got a cool few million, possibly, I don't know the figures, and you want to buy Gladiators, resurrect it and stick it on some TV channel somewhere, I'm sure they'd be open to offers.
With some of the original Gladiators and people involved in the original show that made it so successful consulted by the new production company?
At some point, everyone was approached to become a legend. In other words, compete against our newbies. I was actually called in initially more to be part of a forum in terms of they asked me what did I think worked about the original series that would be worth bringing over to their new series. The first thing I said, new Gladiators, let's get fresh blood. Secondly, there was a couple of production side people, Andrew Norgate being one of them, that I felt was really important because this guy knew how to set up a huge arena with huge, massive events which take time to shift, rig and de-rig, set up your camera shots, everything. He just knew the logistics of how it would all work. So I recommended him at that point, whether they were onto him already. And what was great is when I went over to Shepperton to watch the new series being filmed as we were doing our backstage filming for the website,